about his reaction to all the rumours he'd heard about today.
It's pretty disappointing, I suppose, that I haven't been told anything, Dennis, but, you know, that's the way it's been over the last 5 or 6 weeks.
What do you expect?
I don't expect any good news tomorrow. I think I'll be getting a couple of poor phone calls tomorrow.
Have you spoken to your president today?
He left a message on my phone before he had to fly to Melbourne. So he just wants to talk to me tomorrow, so whatever happens.
Wouldn't have been the only one.
Oh no, it's been running pretty busy, but that's the way things are in these times.
Are you tempted to simply walk away from this mess now?
Oh no, I mean, it's been a pretty tough haul the whole 2.5 years or 2 and a bit years, so you know, I think you know, the players deserve better than that.
What is this doing to the fabric of the football club?
The process that's been followed has been pretty average, I suppose, but I think apart from that, the players and the football staff have got to be commended with the way they have held together and stayed positive.
What about your staff tonight?
Oh, they've been fantastic. I mean, they can't fathom what's going on, so and I can't help them much because I'm in the dark myself. But as I think with the rumours being so strong, I think we better you know, just expect the worst.
Regardless of what happens, how will you look back on this time in your life?
It's part and parcel of footy, and you know that you just want people to be up front with you, Dennis. And when it doesn't happen, it hurts a bit, but you know it's part of footy.
So what do I say? If you're there on Sunday, good luck.
Exactly.
Good luck, Damien.
See you later.
Don't believe I said that.
Gee, your heart goes out to him. How symbolic, his little daughter there right at the end of the Damien drum. Craig Hutchison, one of the leading football journalists in Australia, has been following this story probably more closely than anybody else. Craig from 7 News, thanks for coming in tonight.
No worries, Bruce. Good evening.
You've heard all of that. Is he definitely going to be sacked tomorrow? Unfortunately,
he is, yes. The Fremantle board voted today to sack Damien Drum. It was a secret meeting held this afternoon. I understand the chairman, Ross McLean, voted against making the change, but he was overcome by the other board members this afternoon. Incredibly, it now has to go to the Dockers' parent company, Fremantle Football Club Limited, tomorrow for final approval. That's the board set up by the Western Australian Football Commission. So if you like, it goes Football Commission, Fremantle Football Club Limited, and then the Fremantle Dockers board. So it's a complex structure in Perth, and one that really has caused some problems. On that board, there's 2 independents, Sid Corser and John Thurman. There's a Western Australian Football Commission representative, Tom James, who chairs it, and Ross McLean, the chairman. So Ross will take that recommendation tomorrow, where he will be sacked, and Ben Allen will be formally offered the job. So fait accompli, it will go through the Fremantle Football Club Limited, but an extraordinary chain of events. John Worsfold was offered this job yesterday. He went to bed last night to give it consideration and came back and said no today, and then they went for Ben Allen again today. He spoke to them this morning, Ben Allen, and as late as tonight hadn't been offered the job, but will be formally tomorrow. So an incredible chain of events. David Hatt was the person, the chief executive, who was the conduit, if you like, to the potential coaches. And David Hatt wasn't present in the board meeting today. Of course, he's the outgoing chief executive. But Damien Drum has been put on death row. But I can just quickly, the chairman will fly into Melbourne in a few moments' time, where he'll speak to Damien Drum again, I would imagine, via phone. But Damien has got the message that it is game, set, match, unfortunately.
And yet, Craig, Damien Drum attended a meeting today with the AFL's Andrew Demetrio, and I guess Wayne Jackson would have been there had he not been hospitalised in Adelaide, with David Hatt talking about the rest of the year.
Well, I find that incredible. I don't know what you guys think, but David Hatt, the chief executive, sat next to Damien Drum in that meeting with the AFL. It's part of their regular routine meetings with all the clubs. Went for 3 hours this afternoon at the Duxton Hotel in Perth. That was Damien's reaction as he walked out of the meeting that you saw a little bit earlier on, and he said earlier tonight that that was one of the sickest he's ever felt in football, because there was a real smell then of he's got a camera crew out the front that telling him the bad news, and he just sat next to David Hatt, so he had no reason to think anything was happening. He didn't even know the board meeting was happening across town in Fremantle, and then to be told via a news reporter in Perth, and then via a quick phone call from the chairman before he boarded a plane to Melbourne, I just find it astounding.
Well, how do you feel about all this, Robert? Is it a coach that's been sacked before?
Oh, I'm just amazed, Hutchie, that what you've told us is true, that you say they had a secret meeting. Well, it wasn't very secret when everyone knows except the coach. I think it's just disgraceful. I have no problem with the coach being sacked mid-season. If that's the decision of the board, so be it. But then surely the person who must know, first of all, is the coach. You must go to the coach and say, look, thanks, but your time is up. Treat the coach with respect. obviously we've followed this for about 4 or 5 weeks. The only person who stood tall throughout is Damien Drum.
Held his head high, hasn't he?
He has been terrific. He has treated the football world and his players with respect, and he's earned credibility. But I tell you what, the Fremantle Football Club have got none.
They botched today up, there's no question about that. And the complex nature of Perth politics in football is another reason for it, because they've got to go to this Football Limited tomorrow, which just seems incredible to me that a board can make a decision and then have to get it rubber stamped the next day while the chairman flies across the country. Now, Damien only got he said on the news that he didn't speak to the chairman. My mail is that he had a quick chat to him and was told that there mightn't be some good news for him tomorrow, and he probably saw the tone of that in his cross with 7 News in Perth. But to have to go on then and front the football community in Perth and all the supporters and the Dockers fans, half knowing that he's going to get the chop, being in limbo, and have to portray a brave public face, and incredibly turn up to work tomorrow morning knowing it's going to be his last day, and yet still go about his business and keep his appointments.
Says a lot for him. You're telling me a story about Peter Knights. It's pretty hard for football clubs to tell even favourite sons that they're not wanted, isn't it?
Well, it just amazed me, Bruce. I was with Peter Knights this morning and we talked about this, funnily enough, and he said that at the end of '95 he had an appointment to meet the Hawthorn board in a couple of weeks to talk about his agenda for '96. He knew he was out of contract and he wasn't assured of a job. The appointment was in 2 weeks' time. He sat down with his 2 young baby daughters and his wife, turned on the news to learn of his sacking. He then rang Peter Hudson, one of his early mentors at the club and a teammate, now CEO at Hawthorn at the time, at the end of '95, and Peter Hudson denied the report several times, and it was only after the 4th or 5th pressing by Peter Knights that Peter Hudson finally admitted that he had been sacked and the story had been leaked to the media. Knights doesn't tell the story in a bitter way, but if it could happen to him...
Well, we're going to talk to a coach tonight that had a job for life at Collingwood, didn't he, at one stage? I mean, there's no such thing, is there? Hutchie, thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Yep.
It's been an amazing day in more ways than one. So Damien Drum is gone. Joseph Gutnick.
I think he might be gone too.
Do you?
Yeah, but I think...
What about the Herald Sun story this morning with the ex-cop, because it read like a cop, a cop's...
Judge could be decided as early as Tuesday, when the embattled coach is due to face the Eagles Board of Directors. After a hefty loss to Essendon last night, speculation continues that Judge will be sacked at the end of the season.
He's handled the pressure professionally all year, but with his job on the line, last night the speculation over Ken Judge's future at the Eagles went too far.
If they say that your man management skills aren't good enough and your communication skills, would that be a fair criticism, do you think?
I think we've had enough, mate.
Judge stormed out of the Eagles' post-match press conference after watching his team fall by 89 points to a super slick Essendon. Before that, the coach had given an honest assessment of his side's performance against the reigning premiers.
They were too good for us. I mean, too skilled. You know, and at the end of the day, I felt that our players' endeavour wasn't too bad.
Essendon dominated from the opening bounce, setting up a match-winning 8-goal lead by half-time. Matthew Lloyd returning from suspension with 7 goals.
Lloyd into an open goal, gets another one.
And with the match no longer a contest, the big Subiaco crowd created their own entertainment.
We are a state who's given up on football. We are making waves.
After the match, Kevin Sheedy was backing his embattled opposite number.
The easiest thing in the world to do is get rid of coaches. And the hardest thing is to go and find good ones. I mean, the only thing I can say is that probably I'm trying to show other people a way of how to keep a club strong. And that's not keep sacking coaches all the time.
The coaching drama overshadowed the Eagles' emotional farewell to one of their champions. Essendon also paying their tributes to Dean Kemp, the dual premiership player and co-captain, given a fitting send-off by West Coast faithful and his former teammates. Meantime, the season is over for David Weir-Punda. The star defender had to be carried off the ground last night after badly rolling his ankle.
So, with 1 round to go, this is how the table looks tonight in the AFL.
Round 12, and windy conditions had dictated the tone of play at Shell Stadium. Geelong opened with the breeze to lead by 37 at the first change, with the Dogs pulling that back to 17 by